Okay, so page 127. Talk with a partner. Anita is going to the airport. Talk about her plans. Use before or after. All right. So before we do that, let's look at the pictures. All right. So we have 8 pictures here. The first one is check in. Second one is check her bag. Number 3 is go through security. Number 4 is buy a cup of coffee. Number 5 is check her messages. Number 6 is read a magazine. Number 7 is get on the plane. And then number 8 is turn off her cell phone. Okay? So, back at the top. A. After Anita checks in, she'll check her bag. Before Anita goes through security, she'll check her bag. Okay, so we've used after and before to understand which action takes place first, then which action takes place second. Okay, so let's look at number 2. After Anita checks her bag, she'll go through security, or she will go through security. Before Anita goes through security, she'll check her bag. Let's see, next one. After Anita goes through security, she'll or she will buy a cup of coffee, right? Before Anita buys a cup of coffee, she'll or she will go through security. All right, let's look at buy a cup of coffee. After Anita buys a cup of coffee, so buys a cup of coffee, she'll check her messages. Before Anita checks her messages, she'll or she will buy a cup of coffee. All right, let's look at check her messages. After Anita checks her messages, she'll or she will read a magazine. Before Anita reads a magazine, she'll or she will check her messages. Let's go with read a magazine. After Anita reads a magazine, she'll or she will get on the plane. Before Anita gets on the plane, she'll or she will read a magazine. Let's look at get on the plane. After Anita after Anita gets on the plane, she'll or she will turn off her cell phone. Before Anita turns off her cell phone, she'll or she will get on the plane. All right, so now we've gone through all 8 of the pictures. Hopefully you can find a partner to work on that and practice that. Okay? Write sentences about Anita. Use before and after. So now B, we talked, right? So now we get a chance to write complete sentences about what we see in these 8 pictures. For instance, Anita will go through security after she checks her bags. So that's a complete time clause. All right. Let's move on down the page. Communicate. So we're going to continue to communicate. All right. Imagine you are going to take a weekend trip. Excuse me, a weekend trip. Choose the location. Write 3 things you need to do before the trip. Interview a partner. Take notes on the chart. Okay. So this is what you would ask your partner as you're planning, as they're planning to take a weekend trip. All right, they need to you need to ask them and write down the things that they need to do before the trip. So the first one is, where will you go on your trip? To the mountains. What will you do first? I'll reserve a campsite. What will you do after you reserve a campsite? I'll or I will pack warm clothes. What will you do after that? I'll pack my camping supplies. Okay? So share your information about your partner. And you can also share this in our Zoom call or with us on WhatsApp. All right? All right. Let's move on. Okay. Unit 10. Free time. Lesson D. Let's turn our books to page 128. Okay, so we're going to be moving from the writing stage into the reading stage. All right. Now, before we get into this, let's remember that in our reading stage, we're going to do more reading for comprehension to understand what something is about or what the subject that they're trying to steer us to is about. All right. And this should help us to write better sentences because we actually see and read proper English sentences, all right, using our time clauses, using our conditionals, things like that. All right, so I want you to pay particular and special attention to what we're reading and how they're writing these sentences and paragraphs and stories, okay, so that we can do the same. All right. All right, so let's get into it. Page 128. Before you read, look at the picture and answer the questions. What do you see on the postcard? All right, so I see an island, a small island, and then surrounded by water, of course, and then I see a city in the background. All right. Would you like to visit this place? Why or why not? Personally, I would not want to visit this place because there doesn't really seem to be much to see there. If I'm going to take a vacation, and this is supposed to be someplace that is not home for me, then I would probably not want to go here. And then, of course, I know what exactly where this place is. It's a pretty famous place. It's a prison, an old prison, and I have no desire to visit a prison. That's not something that I want to do, especially on my time off, right? On my free time. So that's my answer. Your answer might be different, right? Which is totally fine. But that's my answer. All right, so let's move on. All right, so let's read. All right, read the article from the tourist website. Listen and read again. All right, so let's take some time to actually read and then listen. You can scan the barcode here and listen to the audio for this. All right, if you have the older books, you can look for CD number 2 and scan over to track 32. All right, but before we do that, let's look at our tip here. Words between commas sometimes explain the words before them. Okay, for a period of 29 years, comma, from 1934 to 1963, comma, and then ellipse, right? It goes on. So what they're telling you there is that the bold words from 1934 to 1963 it gives more definition to the period of 29 years. All right, so it tells you exactly what those 29 years were, from 1932 to 1963. Okay, so that's good. So that should help us. So let's take some time to read and listen to this article from the tourist website, therock.com, and we'll come back and we'll answer some questions. All right, and we'll figure out what this means. So let's take some time and do that now. Okay, so hopefully you've had some time to read and understand the article here, and also listen to the track, the audio track, and to follow along. All right, because there are some pretty important things that we need to look at here. All right, so let's go down the page here. Page 129. Okay, 129. So now we're going to check our understanding. All right. But before we do that, let me read this article, and then we will move on. The article is called "The Rock, San Francisco's Biggest Tourist Attraction." Alcatraz, a small, rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, was once the most famous prison in the United States. For a period of 29 years, from 1934 to 1963, over 1,500 dangerous criminals lived in the prison's 378 cells. People believed that it was impossible to escape from Alcatraz Island. However, in 1962, two brothers, John and Clarence Algen, and another man named Frank Morris, escaped on a raft made of raincoats. A famous movie, Escape from Alcatraz, tells the amazing story. Other famous prisoners who lived on the island included Al Capone, the gangster, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Alcatraz prison closed in 1963. The island became a national park, and since then it has been a major attraction for tourists from all over the world. These days, many people call Alcatraz by its popular name, The Rock. In the summer, it is wise to buy tickets to the island in advance because the ferries sell out. Evening tours are less crowded. The admission prices listed include the ferry tickets, and an audio tour. So general admission for adults 18 through 61, day tours cost $45.25. Evening tours cost $52.25. General admission for children 5 through 17. Day tours cost $31. Evening tours cost $34.20. General admission for seniors 62 and older. Day tours costs $43.25. Evening tours cost $49.25. All right. Check your understanding. What is the main topic of this article? To me, the main topic of this article I wrote down was this first sentence. Alcatraz, a small rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, was once the most famous prison in the United States. What was Alcatraz in the past? My answer is that it was a prison, right? A prison that held over 1,500 dangerous criminals. Why did dangerous criminals go to Alcatraz? My answer was because people believed that it was impossible to escape from there, right? People thought it was impossible to escape from there. Number 4, according to the article, why was the escape in 1962 surprising? And my answer is the same, right? People believed that it was impossible to escape from Alcatraz, right? So that's why I think that people were surprised. Underline the word major in the second paragraph. What do you think this word means in this article? What words help you understand the meaning? So in the second paragraph, it says the island became a national park, and since then it has been a major attraction for tourists from all over the world. Okay, so I put down major means important or popular, right? And the reason why I say that is because the island became a national park, right, after it closed. If it was just some regular prison, they would have knocked it down and built a new prison or did something different with it. But because famous people were held there, there was a movie about the place, people want to come see it. It's very important. It's important and popular. Number 6. How long has Alcatraz been a tourist attraction? So Alcatraz has been a tourist attraction since 1963, right, when it closed. Number 7. Maria and her 2 sons, 11 and 13 years old, want to go to Alcatraz during the day. How much will this cost them? Alright, so Maria, it would cost her $45.25 for a day tour. Child number 1, or son number 1, he is young, he's under 17, so it would cost him $31. And then child number 2 is also under 17, under 18, sorry. So that would cost him $31. So the total admission would cost them, the 3 of them, $107.25. So $107.25. Number 8. Why do you think Alcatraz is a popular tourist attraction? I think Alcatraz is a popular tourist attraction because, right here, famous people lived there, right, who lived down on the island, right? There was a famous movie about Escape from Alcatraz, right? This movie was about John and Clarence Algen, Frank Morris, how they escaped. And then other famous prisoners who lived there on the island included Al Capone, the gangster, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. All right, so it's a famous attraction because famous people were imprisoned there. All right, so I hope you got the same answers or something close. If not, and you want to talk about it, please let me know, and we'll talk about it during our Zoom meetings, and we will share ideas on this article about the rock. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about building our vocabulary. Right, build your vocabulary. Find the following words in the reading. Underline them. All right. So before we continue with this lesson B, let's talk about these words. All right. And let's talk about the proper definitions, because again, these words can have different meanings and multiple meanings. Some are phrases, so I want to make sure that we know the proper definition so that it fits in what we're talking about: free time, vacations, going to attractions like the Rock. All right, so let's look at the first one. Admission, right? Admission, a fee paid for entering a place, such as a theater or a museum. Next one is attraction. Attraction, a place which draws visitors by providing something of interest or pleasure. Next one is cells. Cells, a small room in which a prisoner is locked up, or in which a monk or a nun sleeps. The next one, escape. Escape, break free from confinement or control. Next one, ferries. Ferries, this is plural. The singular is ferry, so this is plural. All right, a boat or ship for moving passengers and goods, especially over a relatively short distance, as a regular service. All right, so think of a ferry as like a train or a bus that goes over water, right? That moves passengers and goods from the mainland to an island, or the mainland across the water to the mainland. Okay? In advance. In advance just means ahead of time. Okay? Prison. Prison, a building in which people are legally held as a punishment for a crime they have committed, or while awaiting trial. The last one, sellout. Sellout, the selling of an entire stock of something, especially tickets for an entertainment or sports event. All right. So now we can look back on here and we can find the following words in the reading and underline them. Now that we know what they are, we can work with a partner. Guess the meaning of the words. Note the clues that help you. Then use a dictionary to check your guesses. Okay? I guess that attraction means a place tourists want to visit. My clue was the phrase, biggest tourist attraction, in the title. The dictionary definition of attraction is a thing or place that tourists like to see or visit. Number 3, complete the sentences. Use the words from exercise B1, these words here. Let's go through these together. The Empire State Building in New York is a famous tourist. I put down attraction. Attraction. In general, blank for an evening tour for adults is $52.25. So I put down general admission, right? Admission for an evening tour for adults is $52.25. Tickets to popular music concerts often blank very quickly. I put down sellout. Tickets to popular music concerts often sell out very quickly. D. We bought our tickets 6 months blank. I put down in advance. in advance. We bought our tickets 6 months in advance. E. To get to the Ellis Island Immigration Museum in New York, you have to take one of the blank from Manhattan. I put down ferries. Ferries. To get to the Ellis Island Immigration Museum in New York, you have to take one of the ferries from Manhattan. Alcatraz used to be a blank. Then it became a national park. I put down prison. Prison. Alcatraz used to be a prison. Then it became a national park. G. Each prisoner in Alcatraz lived in one of the 378 blanks. So I put down cells. Each prisoner in Alcatraz lived in one of the 378 cells. 36 men tried to blank from Alcatraz. I put down escape. 36 men tried to escape from Alcatraz. Now hopefully you got the same answers. If not, if you got something different, let's talk about it in our Zoom call, in our Zoom meeting, or we can write it down, write down what you got differently in the WhatsApp group meeting. All right? All right, let's move on. Okay, C. Talk with a partner. Ask and answer questions. So this would be a good exercise to find a partner and talk about these questions. All right. Tell about a popular tourist attraction in a city you have visited. What was the cost of admission? 2. What kind of tickets do you usually buy in advance? And then number 3, have you ever taken a ferry ride? Where did you go? All right. So, like I said, these would be great discussion questions to talk about during our Zoom meeting or at home, or you can call one of the other students and have good English conversations. All right. Excellent. So let's move on.